Discovering the Secrets of True Spirituality, a Journey Beyond the Surface. Part 1, The Concept of Spirituality, is a person who goes deeper into spirituality, not simply performing rituals or adhering to a set of beliefs, but the expression of a mindset that goes beyond ordinary experience and understands the nature of existence. Part 2, The Difference Between Superficial and True Spirituality. For many people, spirituality is often reduced to a list of things to do, attending religious services, practicing meditation, or reading scriptures. However, true spirituality goes much deeper than that. Part 3. True spirituality lies deep within thoughts and actions. Spirituality is not limited by what one shows on the outside, but is also reflected in the very structure of a person's thoughts, feelings, and actions. Part 4. The way of thinking of highly spiritual people. Highly spiritual people, those who have gone beyond superficial understanding and into the depths of their being, often possess thoughts that seem paradoxical to the unenlightened. Part 5. Paradoxes of Spirituality. These seeming paradoxes are not contradictions, but rather reveal the complex and multifaceted nature of authentic spirituality. Although to an outsider, these ways of thinking may seem contradictory or illogical, they are in fact the product of a deep understanding of human life and experience. Part 6. True spirituality does not seek personal gain. The nature of highly spiritual people is not to seek to elevate themselves above others or achieve worldly success through their spirituality. This is a significant difference from those who approach spirituality with a utilitarian mindset, where the focus is on what one can achieve in exchange for spiritual practice. These individuals are not interested in power, recognition, or the satisfaction of ego-based desires. Instead, they focus on a deep inner journey, a journey that often takes them away from what others may consider important in a world that constantly promotes the attainment of wealth, status, and influence as the pinnacle of success. The path of highly spiritual people is countercultural. It is not about accumulating, but about letting go. It is not about achieving, but about becoming. This seemingly paradoxical approach to life, where the pursuit of spiritual growth involves renunciation, the pursuit of external achievement, is at the core of their thinking. This renunciation does not stem from contempt for the material world, but from the understanding that true fulfillment and power come from an entirely different source. It is often said that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. This adage is true for most people, but highly spiritual people seem to possess a quiet, almost invisible, power that does not come from external sources. Part 7. The power of letting go and humility. This power does not come from power, wealth, or status, but from inner stillness, a deep connection to the Supreme Being, and a strong sense of purpose. Unlike power, which is often associated with control, domination, and fear, the power that spiritually advanced people possess is subtle yet profound. It is a power that emanates from within. They influence the world not by force, but by presence. This is not a power that can be wielded or controlled. Rather, it flows naturally from a state of letting go and humility. It is in the act of not seeking power that these individuals find themselves endowed with a power far greater than anything the world can offer. This power is not flashy or ostentatious, but enduring and transformative, often leaving a lasting impact on those who come into contact with it. The journey of a highly spiritual person is not a linear progression. Part 8. The journey is not up, it is inward. Spiritual growth is not a linear ascent where one simply climbs from one level of enlightenment to another. It is not about climbing a ladder of success or reaching a series of milestones. Rather, it is a downward journey going deeper and deeper into the mysteries of the soul. This descent is like an excavation where layer after layer of oneself is peeled away, revealing both the light and the darkness within. This descent often involves facing one's own darkness, accepting one's limitations, and surrendering to the unknown. It requires a willingness to face parts of oneself that are painful, even frightening. It is a journey that requires great courage because it is not easy to let go of things that one loves, especially when those things has long been a source of security and identity. The descent into the soul is both terrifying and exhilarating, for it strips away the illusions of the ego, leaving only what is true and eternal. Part 9. The dark night of the soul, crisis and trial, on this journey of descent, the highly spiritual encounter what is commonly known as the dark night of the soul. This is a time of intense spiritual crisis, where everything that once made sense is called into question. It is a time of deep inner turmoil, where the ego is stripped away and all that remains is a feeling of emptiness and desolation. The dark night of the soul is not a fleeting moment, but can last for days, months, even years. It is a period where the spiritual seeker feels abandoned by the Supreme, where prayers go unanswered, and where hope seems distant. Yet it is in this emptiness that the seeds of true spiritual growth are sown. The dark night is a trial, burns away all that is false and inauthentic, leaving only the pure essence of the soul. For only when one has been emptied from all that is false, then one can be filled with truth. This emptiness is not a fearful void, but a space of potential where the divine can enter and transform the soul in ways beyond understanding. This process of emptying and filling is a seemingly paradoxical, lies at the heart of the spiritual journey. The very act of being emptied, which may initially be seen as a loss, is what creates space for divine grace to enter. It is a process that defies logic and reason, for it involves giving up everything that one has been taught to value in order to receive something that cannot be grasped or understood by the mind. It is a process that requires a leap of faith, a willingness to step into the unknown and trust that something greater is waiting on the other side. This leap is not to be taken blindly, but with a deep inner knowing that what is to be achieved far exceeds what is being left behind. It is a journey requiring complete trust in the Supreme Being, a surrender to the flow of life, and a recognition that the true treasures of the Spirit are not attained through effort or will, but through grace. One may wonder why anyone would willingly choose such a difficult path. The idea of actively embracing suffering, uncertainty, and stripping away the ego goes against the human desire for comfort and security. Why anyone would choose to endure the pain and suffering that accompanies the dark night of the soul? The answer lies in a deep inner belief that there is more to life than what can be seen or touched. This belief is not a mere belief, but a deep inner knowing, beyond reason. It is the belief that there is a real, beyond the material world, a reality more real and lasting than anything the world can offer. This belief is not based on blind faith, but on direct experience, on moments of enlightenment and insight that reveal the true nature of existence. These moments are often called mystical experiences, give a glimpse of the divine, give us a taste of the infinite and the eternal. It is these experiences that fuel the spiritual journey. They give the seeker the strength to persevere through the darkest of times. Highly spiritual people are not driven by the need to help everyone or save the world. This may seem paradoxical, especially in a world where altruism and service are often equated with spirituality. However, highly spiritual people understand that their role is not to be saviors, but rather to be channels for the divine to do its work. They realize that their purpose is not to impose their will on others or to change the world according to their own desires. Instead, they focus on doing what is in front of them, completing the tasks that the divine has assigned them. This focus on the present moment, on what is immediate and tangible, is a mark of their spiritual maturity. They understand that their time and resources are limited, and that it is better to make a profound and lasting impact on a small number of people, rather than spreading oneself too thin and achieving nothing of significance. This understanding comes from the humility to realize that they are just a part of a much larger whole, and their role is to do their part, nothing more, nothing less. Perhaps the most seemingly paradoxical aspect of the high spiritual mindset is how these individuals relate to their enemies in a world driven by competition, where success is often measured by how many people one can defeat or surpass. High spiritual people take a completely different approach. The prevailing narrative in society is a story of winners and losers, where the strong triumph and the weak are left behind. Part 10. The power of forgiveness and loving one's enemies. However, highly spiritual people do not see their enemies as obstacles to be overcome or threats to be neutralized. Instead, they see their enemies as teachers, as opportunities for growth and transformation. This perspective requires a profound shift in perception. The place of others is no longer seen as separate, but as an integral part of one's own journey. It is the recognition that the conflicts and challenges posed by enemies are not external, but a reflection of one's own internal struggles. The willingness to embrace one's enemies, to love and forgive them, is not a sign of weakness, but of incredible strength. It takes more courage and inner strength to love in the face of hatred, to forgive when one is treated unjustly, rather than to retaliate or seek revenge. It is the power that comes from a deep understanding of the nature of the soul, from the realization that all beings are interconnected, and the harm that one person causes to another. The ultimate harm is self-inflicted. This understanding is rooted in the spiritual principle of oneness, where the boundaries between self and others dissolve, revealing the interconnectedness of all life. This is power, allows one to rise above the petty concerns of the ego and act from the heart, true wisdom and compassion. This power is not about might or domination. It is about resilience and grace, the ability to maintain love even in the face of adversity. This is not an easy path. The journey of loving and forgiving one's enemies is fraught with challenges and difficulties. It requires a level of maturity and self-awareness that few possess. It requires the ability to see beyond the surface of things, to recognize the underlying unity of all life, and to act in accordance with this understanding. But for those willing to take on this challenge, the rewards are immeasurable, because in loving one's enemies, in forgiving those who have caused harm, one taps into a source of power far greater than anything found in the material world. This power is the power of the soul, the power of the divine, and it is the only power that can truly change the world. It is the power to heal, reconcile, and restore, to bring peace and harmony to a world often torn apart by division and conflict. Ultimately, the seemingly paradoxical thoughts of highly spiritual people are not contradictions, but expressions of a deeper truth. They are reminders that the spiritual path is not about achieving worldly success or achieving power, but about surrendering to the divine, embracing the unknown, and living in a way that is true to the soul.
If you feel inspired by this story, please hit the like button to support us, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below with your thoughts or the Zen stories you want to hear next. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next inspirational and peaceful moments. Your interactions are a source of encouragement for our journey. Thank you for accompanying us on the path of wisdom and enlightenment.